Joe.
What?
Can we do a toolbox tour today?
No.
Please?
You guys are a pain in the ass.
Hello everyone, I'm here today to do a toolbox tour. Now I have to start out by saying that I really didn't get the whole idea of a toolbox tour, but I was urged by my co-workers that I really should do one. So I watched a few videos to try to get an idea of what it was all about. Now, with no disrespect to those who enjoy watching somebody show off their tools, it didn't quite interest me, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. Now, not to say that my toolbox is disorganized, but look, on Monday I can organize my plier drawer, and by Friday it's a little disorganized again. So I decided to talk about the history of the toolbox. Now, it started out as a young technician, had a small craftsman top and bottom box. I was taught as a young technician that it was more important to have the tools, the proper tools that you needed to do the job, rather than the fancy toolbox. This is sometimes lost on the young technicians today, but that's the way I was taught, so that's the way I did it. After years, you start to fill up that box, and I have to buy another Craftsman roll around to hold some of them plastic case tools that you collect over the years that take up a lot of room. And then even at some point, I bought this little box over here that held wire harness connectors and so forth and so on. So the Snap-on man was working on me for quite a few years, and I finally gave in and decided I was going to trade in my Craftsman top and bottom for a Snap-on top and bottom. Now, to give you an idea how long ago this was, it was before the roller bearing drawers and the Snap-on boxes. So that worked quite well. It took up more tools, and he took the trade in on the Craftsman box, and it was a decent deal, so I did it. Now that box went for a couple of years, and it had its little incident. I was working in a shop, and the owner's knucklehead brother decided one day that he was going to move my box for some unknown reason, and he got the wheel caught in a floor drain, tipped the box over, and of course the top box, which was bolted to the bottom, hit a pallet that was sitting on the floor, and it twisted it to hell. Drawers wouldn't open, so forth and so on. Now, I'd worked in the collision industry, and I knew some people in the industry, so this toolbox actually went on the frame machine, and they pulled it square, and it worked fine. So for the next 17 years, I used that toolbox with jaw marks in the pinch welds. Now, after a few years, I went back into the collision shop where I was working, and there was like 14 guys in there. At the time, the Snap-on man that was coming in there decided that he was going to sell everybody in the shop a toolbox. And he was doing quite well with that. And he kept working on me and working on me. But, you know, I was holding out for the right deal. Finally, he came up with the right deal. He gave me what I paid for that other Snap-on box, and kudos to Snap-on, they can go on the frame machine. And he got me into this one here. It was a good deal, so I did it. Eventually things still grow, you buy more tools, and I had to upgrade to get rid of that Craftsman roll around that I still had, which is now repurposed, used for holding woodworking tools that me and my daughter use as a hobby. She's much better at it than me, but it's a lot of fun. And this side cabinet became available, used side cabinet, very used. No lock cylinder, epoxy smeared all over it, but I knew I could clean it up, get it working right, put a lock cylinder in it. So I bought it at 1/4 of the price. You know, that's the way you have to do things from time to time. Still kept that one around, but that's the whole story of the toolboxes. Now, this toolbox also had a little history. At one point, where one of the shops I was working at, the GS decided to set a car on fire. So now when the smoke alarm's going off, the sprinklers are going, and the firemen come and they want to use all their fancy new toys, they smashing windows, so there's glass flying all over it, smoke and water. It survived. That's a story for another day, that mess. So now on to the tools. Now, over the years, you will collect tools. Now, for those of you who've seen these toolbox tours and you had that nice, clean, organized touch, sorry, this ain't it. And of course, now you have more crap that you have to deal with because you have to hold all that COVID cleaning supplies in there and wipes and nonsense. You all know about that. So anyway, over the years, you're going to collect tools. Like I'm sure some of you Ford guys are going to recognize these axle nut tools. You know, sometimes these tools are purchased, cars become obsolete or the design becomes obsolete. You don't need them anymore. Or if you do, the car's a wreck by the time it comes back, it's so old. But you keep them around because you're always going to try to repurpose something. Like I really like to know what I'm going to repurpose these kink trim reamers to do. Now I haven't used these in 20 years, so God knows. I guess I'll have to go back working for a tow company or something. And then of course, one of the videos I was watching, a guy was doing a pinion seal, and he said, now I'm going to pull out my pinion seal installer. So he pulled this out. Now I recognize it right away as an axle nut socket, but that's okay. I knew it was collecting dust in his box, and he figured, look, I paid good money for that. I got to repurpose it. It's got to earn its keep. And that's what it's all about. These are tools to fix cars. They're tools to make you money. You have to use what you have. Now, I'm a big fan of using the proper tool for the job, but sometimes in a pinch, you got to do what you got to do. Now, one other side note, one of the things that happened when I bought this box, one of the first things I did, since you can tell the history of my boxes, I put a scratch in it. Because in my mind, I thought, damn it, I paid for it. I'm going to be the first one to scratch it. It's a rough environment, shit happens. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it made you laugh, cringe, whatever. And I hope that your tools continue to make you money because that's what it's all about. That's what they're there for. So I have to get back to work, so cut.